Hello, my name is Miles Hill, and I am a junior at Ball State University studying public law. Today I will be discussing with you the City of Muncie, Indiana, and its governing structure. Now, to start, I think it's important to discuss a little bit about Muncie's rich history. Muncie was first established as a small Indian village called Muncietown in 1827. Muncie was incorporated as a town in 1854 and later as a city in 1865. The name was shortened from Muncietown to Muncie in 1945. Muncie is located in Delaware County, and Muncie's population as of the census, July 1st, 2016, is 69,010, which is a definite decline from the previous year's population of 70,087. The Indiana gas boom of the 1880s attracted industry to Muncie, which cultivated a thriving economy for many years to follow. The Ball brothers began manufacturing glass in Muncie in 1988. The Ball brothers were very influential in the community, obviously. We know the name, most notably with the institution of Ball State University. Muncie was the focus of the Middletown Studies project, which I think is very important to note. It was a sociologist-led study of the town and how a typical middle American community operates. Studies of Muncie continue to occur today. The Center for Middletown Studies still exists in Muncie, still continues to do studies on Muncie. And because of all these projects, it is said to be one of the most studied cities of its size in the United States, and it kind of gives it a name in popular culture. Like, it's mentioned in television shows and on movies and in books, just because it's kind of like the quintessential mid-sized American city. My personal history with Muncie is that I came here in 2013 as an undergrad, 14 years ago. Various circumstances kept me here. If you had asked me in 2013 if I thought that I would still be here 14 years later, I would never have believed you. But I've met my husband here, I have my family here, I'm very invested in the community. I've definitely grown to love this community and want to see it thrive. Alright, moving on to the inputs, the demands of the community. First and foremost, the residents of the community are the main demanders. The citizens and the taxpayers living within the Muncie city limits. It also includes visitors to the community, which can be families of students, faculty, and of staff, and as well as visiting faculty, guest speakers, performers, things like that. Local business also frequently have visitors. I work downtown Muncie at an establishment, and I encounter people visiting Muncie on business every single day that I work. It used to surprise me, now it doesn't. I feel like it might be surprising to other people to know that, but Muncie definitely generates a lot of out-of-town visitors because of the businesses that exist here. Another demander is labor unions. Muncie is not as industrial as it was 50 years ago, especially with the exodus of the Ball factories. But factories and industrial businesses are definitely still prominent in the community, and there are very many active labor unions, like the ones listed here. The American Postal Workers Union, Bricklayers Union 19, United Auto Workers Local 187, United Steel Workers Local 12213, Teamsters Local Union 135, Operative Plasters and Cement Masons Local 692, and there's dozens of others that I didn't list. They're definitely influential in the community. Another active demand in our community that I was aware of but didn't know how many there were and what an influence they had on our local political culture are neighborhood groups. They're definitely very active in the community and very influential. In my opinion and in my research doing this project, I feel like they're definitely one of the most influential demands in the community. My personal experience with neighborhood groups is that I live in the Anthony neighborhood, which is kind of, if you know, like where Sunshine Cafe is or Northside Middle School, it's like that area. I don't know, it's been a few years now, 3 or 4 years ago, they built the apartment complex, which I believe is now called Varsity. And Anthony's neighborhood association was very influential on regulating that whole process and like regulating where and how construction could happen and like what streets they can use and things of that nature. So I've definitely seen firsthand how a neighborhood group can influence the political climate. All right. A few more demands. There are other groups in the community that protect the interests of specific groups of people. Groups like Muncie Outreach, which is an LGBTQ plus group, and then there's also Bike Muncie, which obviously deals with bicycles, bike lanes, bike racks, educating people on bike culture, and things of that nature. There's groups like Muncie Delaware County Chamber of Commerce and Muncie Delaware County Economic Development Alliance that work to create economic opportunities for the communities and attract businesses to the area, which attracts more residents, which generates more tax income, which is just good for the city as a whole. Our media demands would be the Muncie Star Press and the Muncie Journal. The Star Press is owned by Gannett, which owns USA Today. It's a huge corporate conglomerate of journalism. It's as corporate as journalism can get. I have kind of a low opinion of the Star Press because my opinion is that they are not invested in the community. They care more about getting clicks and like reshares and stuff like that. They like to focus a lot on like the negative aspects of the community and not so much the positive. The Muncie Journal is an online publication. Definitely likes to focus more on the positive, which I appreciate. It does also cover negative things that happen in the community too, because those are important to know about as well. All right, moving on to supports. There are two types of supports. There's active, which is when citizens pay taxes and vote, and then the government is able to operate with legitimacy and confidence. On the flip side of that, there is withholding, and that is when citizens do not vote or pay their taxes, and the result of that is that they undermine the ability of the local government, and it is unable to operate to its full potential. And next, we will focus on different types of supports. The first one we will talk about here is physical supports, which are the local climate, geography, and structures within city limits that support action by local government. And some examples of this are the Muncie Department of Public Works, which is responsible for the maintenance of Muncie streets, sidewalks, and traffic signals. They are responsible for snow plowing in extreme weather and repairing potholes, which, in my opinion, are two of the most important things in Muncie. Muncie Sanitary District includes the departments of Green Line, Bureau of Water Control, Recycling, Sewer Maintenance, Stormwater Management, and Water Pollution Control. And then there is the Muncie Health Department, and they are responsible for environmental health, community health, and public health, and preparedness and emergency response. Next, we will talk about the political culture, which is the community attitudes about what the role and scope of the government should be. A traditionalistic view of this is that Muncie government role in society is part of the economical and social structure of the city. So it's a vital part of what makes our city thrive. I think when discussing the political culture of Muncie, we have to discuss the controversy surrounding that. Especially as of late, there has been FBI investigation of our local government, including sanitation department and building commissioner. Craig Nichols faces charges of wire fraud, theft, and money laundering, and it's been alleged that he was overpaying his own construction company for city jobs. So that controversy definitely affects the community's feelings on local government. It affects their view of how it operates and their feelings on how it should operate. All right, next we will talk about the socio-economic supports, which are the supporting environments for city politics and policy. Demographics is part of this, which we already touched on a little bit. The population is 69,010, which makes us the 14th largest city in the state. The value of real property in Muncie, the median home value is $74,900. The home value this year went up 1.5% and is projected to rise 2.9% next year, which is great for the community. Employment opportunities in Muncie, Ball State University and Ball Memorial Hospital are the two biggest employers in the city. There's also Muncie Community Schools employs a lot of people. Navient, which used to be Sally Mae, and Meridian Services are the other ones that employ a majority of the people in town. There's multiple redevelopment and reinvestment commissions in the area that focus on generating funds and attracting businesses to the community. Moving on to intergovernmental supports, which is the mix of government levels present in Muncie. Muncie is the county seat of Delaware County. Delaware County operates with the Delaware County Commissioners and the Delaware County Council. The Board of Commissioners is made up of 3 elected people who serve together as a city manager would to make decisions for the unincorporated areas of the county, so for the rural areas that don't have the levels of government that the city do. The County Council is made up of 7 council members, and they make the financial decisions for the county. Our school district in Muncie is Muncie Community Schools. I could do a complete separate 20-minute presentation on Muncie Community Schools alone if given the opportunity. I have 2 children in the system, so it's something I'm pretty passionate about. Our district is definitely struggling, and an emergency council was recently appointed by the state, and latest reports say that if everything continues as is, then the district will be completely out of funds by October of this year. Kids go back to school in a week and a half. So multiple school, I think they closed 3 schools this year, so it's going to be an interesting start to the school year. A special district in Muncie is the Muncie Housing Authority, which helps Muncie citizens find affordable housing using public housing, housing choice voucher programs, and housing choice voucher programs family self-sufficiency. All right, our governing structure of Muncie, we have a city council, which is a 9-member council that acts as a legislative branch for the city of Muncie. 6 of the members are elected by voters in their district, and then the other 3 members are at-large members that are elected by the voters and represent every citizen in Muncie. So Muncie is divided into districts, and then the citizens within these individual districts vote for people for their district, and then 3 of the members of the council are voted by the entire city. Members serve 4-year terms, and our current members are Doug Marshall, Dan Ridner, Lynn Peters, Brad Polk, Jerry Dishman, Julius Anderson, Allison Quirk, Linda Gregory, and Nora Powell, and those last 3 are our at-large members. We do have a mayor, Mayor Dennis Tyler. He was previously a firefighter in Muncie and then served as state legislator for District 6 for 6 years, so he's been very involved in the community, which I definitely appreciate. He was elected mayor in 2012, and he is married with 3 adult children, 9 grandchildren, and 1 great-grandchild. He is the city executive and head of the executive branch, and his duties include the enforcement of city and state statutes, supervising subordinate officers, approving and vetoing ordinances, orders and resolutions of the legislative body, which is the city council, and making recommendations to that legislative body. on. We do not have a city manager in Muncie. We operate using a mayor-council form of government, where we have a mayor and a city council, and we operate under a strong mayor form. So the mayor is not a figurehead. He is influential and does hold a good deal amount of power. The Reform era, Reform in Muncie, it was notable because it was a period of substantial growth in Muncie, Indiana. As I mentioned before, the Indiana gas boom generated a lot of business in Indiana, and specifically in Muncie. It attracted a lot of industry. So the Reform era was very influential in Muncie. Something I found that the government did that influenced the community was funding for Ball State Memorial Hospital, which was during the Great Depression, when the need for jobs was very great. As I mentioned before, Ball Memorial Hospital is still today the biggest employer in the city. So not only did that create jobs, it obviously provided medical service for the community. Moving on to outputs, I'm going to discuss a few programs that operate under the Muncie Economic Development. The first one I will discuss is the Muncie Redevelopment Commission, which is a program that was created to help control urban blight. The MRC acquires and disposes of abandoned properties, and the goal is to rid residential areas of eyesores and create safer environments. The next one is the co-working space, or the co-lab, which is a collaborative working space for entrepreneurs, independent professionals, freelancers, and startup businesses. And then there is the Muncie Industrial Revolving Loan Fund, which was created to attract new businesses to Muncie and to create jobs and positively affect the local economy. The outcomes of those outputs, the Muncie Redevelopment Commission has purchased and rehabilitated 3 residential properties this year, and has plans to purchase and do the same with over 30 more. They have residential programs, urban revitalization, pocket park projects, side lot projects, community garden and orchid projects, and blight elimination projects. So their focus is to get rid of these abandoned buildings by either rehabilitating them or by demolishing them. But they don't just stop at demolishing the building. They're not just going to leave an empty lot, which I really appreciate. They also have programs that make community garden spaces or parks out of these empty lots. The co-working space, or the co-lab, has attracted numerous businesses to move their location to downtown, and it's assisted more than 5 businesses in their startup. They provide a lot of services to people looking to start up their own business by just simply providing a space for them to do that. If you don't have your own office space, you can use the co-lab space. They have printers, they have everything like that you would need in order to start up a business. The Muncie Industrial Revolving Loan Fund, of the programs I mentioned, is probably the least successful, has the least success. It was created in 1977, so it's definitely the longest standing program of the 3. The other 2 have been created within the past 10 years. So it's not all that surprising that it has less success, I suppose, over the span of 40 years. Like, obviously, it's not always going to be successful. The loans have, I'd say a majority of them have not been paid off, and there are some of them that have been written off as never going to happen. But as a whole, I think it's a great program. It definitely does its part in attempting to attract businesses to the areas. All right, and next we'll look at my resources. There's a lot of great online resources. I was really lucky the City of Muncie's website and the Delaware County's website have a lot of information on the governing structures of the community. There's also a lot of historical information online about Muncie. Obviously, because of the Middletown studies, it's generated a lot of focus on Muncie as a community. A resource that I use that I thought was kind of interesting is the Muncie history, a handbook for fourth grade teachers, which was kind of funny that I used a resource meant for fourth grade teachers, but it had a lot of historical information in it, and I found it really helpful. All right, and that's my presentation. Thank you very much.